Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, may Allah guide us to achieve the best, fulfill the best, and receive the best from His divine grace, forgiveness, mercy, and compassion and love. So what I'm trying to bring across to you is that we are trying to develop this whole framework for Islamic psychology, and we have our website islamic-psychology.net. Inshallah, we'll upload a lot of material, and we will upload the research, especially the research that we have done on, for example, Islamic motivation PIP. There's 135 videos on being achievers in life, and these being achievers we can split into 4 areas. That is parenting and child development, youth, community development, and corporate development. So these are the 4 areas in which you can then scroll through our 135 videos, and inshallah you will have some idea of how you can be achievers, and also maybe write up some material to help the young people, maybe in a simple form, or the blogspot, or in cartoon, or in animated videos, whatever that you can do. Use your skills and develop this, because I'm just giving you some ideas. As I say, this is just precursors to a very deep research which inshallah will involve many hundreds of researchers all over the world, and we can then contribute towards this development of positive Islamic psychology, as well as understanding the framework for Islamic psychology on a global basis. Okay, so you can go to the Islamic motivation YouTube PIP, and you also, now I'm starting Islamic psychology YouTube. I'm uploading all this video there, so that we can then have reference to what are the material that we are going to do. Especially now I'm going to develop more towards PI-CBT, Positive Islamic Cognitive Behavior Therapy, which I'm going to do a lot of videos inshallah, giving you some pointers. Remember, I'm not an expert. Some of you are PhD in psychology and so on. You are the expert. In fact, you have more knowledge about the empirical data, or how to go about within the quantitative and qualitative evaluation of this whole idea of positive Islamic cognitive behavior therapy. How is it superior to cognitive behavior therapy? Why it is so, and so on. Those are the research material that you have to work on. So I'm just giving you again some general overview, in which, based on my experience as a coaching, mentoring, human resource consultant, teaching leadership, teaching productivity, quality, teaching about how to be achievers in life and so on during my career, 30 years career, spending 30 years in human resource development. So it is not that far off from psychology, because I do a lot of certification program, inshallah, which give me some basis of understanding what the whole idea of what psychology is all about, especially Islamic psychology, based on my studies with my teachers in the madrasas, my teachers who are scholars in Islam themselves, and having an idea of the whole idea of this framework of how we can develop psychology based on deen. All right, psychology based on they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and we have this also YouTube PIP Da'wah. This is more of a Da'wah platform that inshallah will expand with more and more input from those who have gone through our certified programs. That means some of you who go through our certified PIP coach, all right, you go through video number 104, 105, 106, and then you may elect yourself to want to go into our online program. Communicate with Brother Abdul Razak, and then we would then be able, you will be able to then access our program to become life coaches, first as practitioner, and at the second level be life coaches, and then you can specialize in the 4 areas I've mentioned earlier on. So how are we going to develop this PI-CBT? Because a lot of work has gone through into this book, Positive Islamic Psychology. So we are not reinventing the wheel. So what I'm trying to do is now I'm going to jump straight into PI-CBT, but before that I will explain to you what this book consists of, because inshallah you'll be able to download this book with the grace of Allah, inshallah, from our islamic-psychology.net website, which we inshallah will give free to the world. This is not a commercial venture, this is a da'wah. Okay, we want to spread this message of positive Islamic psychology to the world, a transcendent model to achieve peace, happiness, and success in the 21st century. So all the material for Islamic psychology, insofar as the framework, the ideas, and so on, I'll keep on referring to this book, because this is the first book that has collated all the ideas by the late Professor Muhammad Mahdi Jenkins, this man, all right, his work, and alhamdulillah I completed. So instead of reinventing the wheel, I'll just scroll through the chapters for you, then we'll go straight later on in the next video onto the CBT and why CBT is different, PI-CBT is different from CBT, and what are the nature of inner speech, for example. That is a very controversial issue. For example, in CBT, you have this automatic inner speech. Yes, we have automatic inner speech. Where does this inner speech originate? Nobody knows. It's a mystery. You just say, oh, we have this automatic inner speech, 50,000 thoughts a day or more, and most of it are negative, most of these are repetitive, most of these are recollection of your past experience, your life, historical traumas, and whatever it is. Okay, but how does this inner thought, automatic thoughts, exist? Why it exists, how it exists, and how we can then transform this negative inner thought to positive inner thought. So this is explained in some detail in this book, Positive Islamic Psychology. So how we go about understanding this, because we start with the historical idea of psychology. So if we go through chapter 1, the introduction, here we start historical evaluation of positive Islamic psychology, say starting from the refutation of the atheistic materialistic theory of life. So first we have to refute that. So how we refute that? Then we also want to know what is wrong with modern psychology. Then we have to know what is positive psychology, what is positive transcendent psychology. They're talking about minors, they're talking about linking it with meditation, they're linking it with Buddhism, whatever it is. There are these ideas now coming on. All right, what is positive Islamic psychology, and why this 21st century is an insane 21st century, and how we can develop a positive worldview despite of all that. So that is in introduction. Chapter 1, all right, we talk about chapter 1 is about positive Islamic psychology, first principle, understanding the creator and the created universe. I have told you in the previous videos how this earth is just nothing. It is nothing. How this universe is even nothing. This whole universe from the point of singularity, Big Bang, is just smaller than this golf ball. And Allah command kun fayakun, and it expanded to become this universe. And what we see in this visible universe, there are many, many more realms. In the physical realm, remember this physical world is physical, consisting of atom, neutron, proton, photon, subatomic particle, quarks, or whatever you name it, dark matter, dark energy. Some of it, they have no names for it. We have no knowledge of it. But it extends into trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of light years. It's unimaginable, the power of Allah. When Allah commands, be, and it is. So if you are aligned to live within the power of Allah, inshallah you'll be safe. So there is no power for doing anything. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyul azim. There's no power for action, there's no power for abstinence except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's mind-boggling. It is infinitely so huge that you can't imagine, from a size of a singularity at the point of conception of this universe, that Allah has ordained such. Today we have the sciences to tell us, through quantum physics, astrophysics, cosmology, mathematics, and so on. But that will then bring us closer to understanding why this world is a created world. So the first principle is understanding the created and the created universe. So this is where we refute all these atheistic ideas, and we come back to Islam. So you may have many modern atheists. They are maybe cosmologists, they may be great scholars, thinkers. They refute God. Leave them, all right? Leave them in their own delusion. But we know that we are created by Allah for a purpose and meaning. So that purpose and meaning is the second principle. All right? In chapter 2, the holistic transcendent nature of the human self. Who we are. We have the four realms of our existence, maybe more. Allah knows best. We have the spiritual realm, the roh, the qalb, that's the heart, the akal, the mind, and then we have the jasad. So it explains in detail the nature of the roh, the spirit, the heart, the mind, the akal, the physical jasad, and the combined nafs of how we're going to live in this world. Is very much in detail. These are summation of all the great works of all the Muslim scholars for the last 1,000 years. So we just summarize from here and there. And these are the work of Al-Imam Ghazali, Ibn Qayyim, Ibn Sina, even Ibn Khaldun, Ibn Miskiwa, and so many of them, all right? Al-Tabrani and so on. So this is a summation. And you may say, oh, our summation or our conclusion may not be perfect. You can perfect it again. All right, again, that's why I'm throwing this idea to you. Those researchers interested in Islamic psychology, find a better idea, because the legacy left behind by our great scholars is so immense. It's mind-boggling, actually. When I look at it, I say, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. It's so great that if we can just take one drop of the ocean of knowledge that is left behind by our predecessor, we could have developed a wonderful ummah in the 21st century. All right? So the third chapter, we are talking about on being the vicegerent of God. So when we summarize chapter 3, we say, Allah created, in the Quran, Allah tells us, I have created you as my Khalifa on this earth. And what is our role as a Khalifa? Again, we take from all the great scholars, our role of how to perfect time and space within the realm of Islamic theology. Simplifying it, we say that we have to strive to make ourselves good, help others to be good, and make this world good. That is our purpose in life, not to kill, not to destroy, not to have some narrow worldview, calling people kafir and so on. Those are the aberrations that we have to slowly transform within the ummah, especially in the 21st century. All right? So we also must know what is the nature of jihad, why we must do this transformation so that this is a peaceful, loving, and caring jihad, and so on. All right? Chapter 4, we talk about the holistic principle of human behavior and laws of learning. This is where Professor Mahdi Jenkins has done a lot of research. 30, 40 years of his life, he was dedicated in behavioral psychology. So when he became a Muslim, he brings this some idea of behavior and cognitive psychology into the world of Islamic psychology. So there's a lot of material there about holistic principles of human behavior and laws of learning. Very deep material that you will not find anywhere else. You download this book or buy this book and you have this idea. Then we come about with the positive Islamic psychology model, which I've explained to you. So how this model is work, what shape our input, and so on. And it's very deep, okay? Then chapter 6 is application. So this is where we say application of positive Islamic psychology in our daily life, all right? Introduction to the principles and the way of life of Islam, all right? Then we have application in terms of contemplation, meditation, reflection to achieve peace, happiness, and success. Then we have techniques that we can develop in terms of calm breathing, Asmaul Husna, inner speech dialogue technique, ISDT, and so on. Then chapter 7, we talk about practical application of positive Islamic psychology, cognitive behavior therapy, and positive Islamic cognitive behavior therapy. This is where we are talking about this whole idea, all right? So we talk about CBT and PI-CBT to overcome depression and to overcome anxiety, because the modern world, we are living in anxiety, we are living in depression, and we are not connected. We have become a fragmented human being with no purpose and meaning in life. And then chapter 8, we're talking about shaping excellent character for children, how we're going to use the Khalifa method. Chapter 9, how we're going to change the world using positive Islamic Khalifa circle, the method Khalifa circle to create a just, peaceful, and happy world. And then chapter 10, integrating permaculture, because we are talking about a new community of people living together in peace, happiness, and success, connecting back to nature through permaculture and using science and technology so that we become productive communities, that we live together in peace, because in 20, 30, 40 years, with AI, artificial intelligence, and robotics, most of the work that we know today will be wiped out. So how are we going to live? So we live in a contemplative society based on love, caring, sharing, mercy, and a simplified life, not a life of greed, consumption, and evil self-destruction. So this is basically the idea of this book. All right? So I'll take the chapter on CBT and PI-CBT, inshallah, in the next video. We jump into it. So remember, I'm not just jumping the whole thing, but I'm shortening the process so that you know that when we talk about all these things, it's all written here, which I appreciate very much if you download or buy this book and then start learning, reading, then enhance, because knowledge is to be shared. One day, inshallah, this knowledge can be spread far and wide. And what I'm doing is just being a catalyst. Just like if you say, if you have a crystal, all you need is just one drop of catalyst and the whole crystalline form will be formed. So the same thing. I'm acting just as a catalyst to open your mind, to open your heart, to open your understanding that we have a journey so far ahead, a beautiful journey that we can share together. And whatever that I do in these little videos that I'm promoting is my contribution, inshallah, for my seeking of the love of Allah, His mercy, grace, and protection. So may Allah guide us to all that we can do, achieving the best, receiving the best, fulfilling the best, be achievers in life, be His Khalifa on earth, striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, and making the world good, inshallah.